Welcome. It is another weekly live tarot chat. And if you are not familiar with who I am, my name is Wadjet, and I am the creator of the Reconnect with Your Inner Guidance 45-day tarot challenge. And if you're interested in being a part of that challenge, head over to the description of my YouTube page, which is Wadjet, and you will see the playlist titled Tarot Challenge Reconnect with Your Inner Guidance. And it is something that you can start at any time that you want. We are in the middle. We have 2 weeks left of this challenge, and I'm really excited about that. So today, just like we're doing every Friday throughout the duration of this challenge, I will be here at 7:30 p.m. Central hosting a live tarot chat. And we're going to talk about no matter what level of tarot that you're on or that you consider yourself to be, if you have questions about tarot in general, if you are actively participating in the challenge and you want to share your experiences thus far, or if there's anything that you are currently struggling with, then I can help you work through some of those interpretations that might be confusing, or just how the cards and the tarot prompts, like how the cards that you're pulling relate to the tarot prompts, and kind of unpacking what that means for you. So if you haven't done so already, be sure to like this video and subscribe if you are here tuning in on YouTube. All right, all of that is done. Let's dive into what has been happening for this week. So for those of you that are not familiar with the Reconnect with Your Inner Guidance Tarot Challenge, every week I have been creating a theme that we focus on, and the tarot prompts around are based off of that theme. So the theme for this week has been nourishment and defining nourishment. And, when it comes to nourishment, the questions that we've really focused on first think about what nourishment means to you. How do you define that? How does that show up for you? Is it something that you ever think about? Before, sometimes I think nourishment can show up as just being something like, oh, I just need to eat food. And if what we have been unpacking throughout this week has been, there are so many different levels of nourishment and how you can nourish yourself, and ways that you might be creating barriers to receiving nourishment. So those are the things that have been coming up. And the final tarot prompt for this particular theme of nourishment will be tomorrow. And then we start a new theme on Sunday. So if you have any questions, be sure to let me know. You can post in the comments, and then I will answer those. So I want to go through some of these cards. For those of you that have been commenting on in the comments, sharing your cards, I know some of you have been getting stuck with some of the interpretations or with some of the cards. And with any of the prompts, I want you to focus on how it's really about how the card that you pulled relates to the question. And really, this goes with anything that you're doing and you're following, if you're following a prompt or a question or a spread. Whatever the position is and with cards, some of you might get multiple cards. If you do get multiple cards during this challenge, then read those cards. But it's like a card can show up in a lot of different ways. And some of you might have, and let me know if you've experienced this, if you've gotten a card in one week, and then you got the same card a different week, but it's totally different. Like what shows up and how it's represented is very different. So that's something I want you to kind of think about. Let's see here. I talked about court cards a couple of weeks ago. So let me see. And let me know if you have any cards that you tend to get stuck on. Let me know and I can pull those. So like this might be one that can seem a bit, it's like, well, how would this show up? If you got this card this week, for one of the prompts about nourishment. What would that mean, right? Not every card that you're going to get is going to have people in it. So for example, here's another Wands card, but you see, there's something happening in both cards. So how can you look at cards? Same goes for oracle cards, right? How can you look at a card if there isn't, people in the card or anything like that? How can you look at the card and really, like, what else can you look at? One of the things I always talk about is, there's a story. There's a story throughout the journey of tarot, throughout the major arcana, throughout the minor. But there's also a story within each card. So what is this story telling you in relation to your question or your prompt? So things to pay attention to. You always want to look at, well, what sticks out to you the most? Whenever you get stuck on a card, my advice is to first look at, well, what sticks out to you the most? And why is that sticking out to you? Like, what is happening to where it's like, man, I'm just really noticing the leaves on these wands, and that's really sticking out to me, and I'm not sure why. So always start there. Whenever you're stuck, start with wherever your attention is drawn. Maybe your attention goes to this little, let me try to zoom in there. This castle thing in the back, this building, right? Maybe it's that. Maybe it's the river. Maybe it's the angle of the wands. Which direction are the wands going? Right? So I want you to think about that whenever you get stuck. Just look at wherever your intuition is guiding you, wherever your spirit is guiding you. Start there and then start to pull back. So draw all of your zoom in magnifying glass to wherever your intuition is leading you, and then you start to pull back and see the bigger picture. But always ask, okay, how does this relate to the question? Because sometimes you can get lost in the definition, like the book definition of the card, and then you kind of forget how does that translate to your situation? Because it's a very different experience, the 8 of Wands versus the 6 of Wands. And there's another one, let me see, with the wands that tend to show up is, here we go, with the 9 of Wands. So with the 9 of Wands, you have, so just look at the position of the wands, right? What similarities do you see with these wands in the 9 of Wands compared to the 6 of Wands? What's different? What's similar? So another way that you can start to unpack a card is to look at some of the other cards and see, like, well, what's the difference? What's the story between the wands? And then how can I, like, what is the difference? What am I missing? So that's another option that you can kind of look at. So I hope that's helpful. Let's see who is here. Greetings. Hello. Happy Friday. Hey, Wanda. Hey, MC. Hey, Dee. How are you? Welcome, welcome. We are talking about tarot, all things tarot, another weekly tarot chat that I'm hosting every Friday at 7:30 p.m. Central during the course of the challenge that I'm hosting right now, which is the Reconnect with Your Inner Guidance Tarot Challenge. It is a 45-day challenge, and you can start at any time. We are on day 31 right now, I believe. And the whole playlist with all the videos are on my YouTube channel. So let's talk about some of the cards. And any of you, if you have a question, let me know. If you want to share anything, share an experience, if you want to join me on video to share, if it's too much to type, let me know, and we can do that. So here we have the Lovers card. So think about the Lovers card. How do you feel? Just use your intuition here. Let's do a little exercise. How does the Lovers card show up for you in relation to nourishment? This could be based on relationships, based on yourself. This could be so many different things. I think a lot of people get caught up with the Lovers card. They think, it's about lovers, it's about love, it's about sex, it's about relationships. There's so much more to the Lovers card than that. Look at what's going on here. I also view the Lovers card as duality. And let's look at this. Speaking of duality, let's view that with its counterpart, which is, who knows what it is? Who can guess? Who can guess what card I'm searching for right now? I know you all know it. I know you know it. I mean, can we talk about duality right now? Can we talk about it? We have the Devil and we have the Lovers card. I mean, how does this show up? What do you see? Hey, Marlene, how are you? Yep, the Devil's card, right? So think about that. How does this show up? What is the difference? What are the similarities when you view the Lover's card, the Devil's card, how this shows up in relation to nourishment, being fulfilled? Lovers, a key word that comes out for me is desire. Desire is not always sexual. It can be, but desire is about desire, like passion. Like what is your soul calling you to do? Like what is it that's truly calling you? And that desire can come from many places. It can also be about union. Not feeling like you are in union, whether it's with yourself, whether it's with a partner. And then what role does that play in nourishment and how that shows up in your life? Maybe you lack nourishment in your relationships. And now, how does that show up? Let's look on the other side of the Devil's card. One thing I like to recommend, right, is in the wands I mentioned, if you're getting stuck with the cards, look at the cards around that card. Then you can also sift through your deck and look at cards that have similar positioning. And so by positioning, I'm meaning look at you have the female, you have a female on one side, the male on the other. You have some type of being or entity centered between the two. So something's going on here, right? There's a story here. The Devil card is when the thing that is nourishing becomes an addiction or a crutch. Absolutely. Absolutely. Very well said. You know that saying, you can have too much. What is it? There's a saying, you can never have too much of a good thing, but you can. Especially when it starts to go to the other end of the spectrum. I always talk about there's a spectrum. And when we look at the spectrum, something that you desire can turn into an addiction or a crutch, right? In the same way, something that can bring you together can also tear you apart, depending on the vibration, depending on your response to it, how you react to it. So let me know if you have what cards you want me to start breaking down here. And let's see what else. Let me look at another card that can seem. Let's talk about nourishment. And let me know let's look at the Pentacles. Well, we have not talked about nourishment and how that shows up in your money, or how that shows up in let me see, especially with the court cards. Let's unpack that. All right, Pentacles. Let's look at the Knight of Pentacles versus the King of Pentacles. So when you think of Pentacles, most people think of money. I view Pentacles, and I mentioned this before, I view Pentacles not just as something, monetary, but definitely something connected to the physical realm, but also it's energy. It's an energy exchange, whatever the thing is, whether it's trading dollars for hours, whether it's exchanging your time for attention. What's the exchange? Because it's not always money, but there's always a cost. There's always an investment or a cost or a price. Does that make sense? So that's how I look at Pentacles. And the reason why is because, let's talk about how this can show up with the thing we've been focusing on this week, which is nourishment. With nourishment, how can this suit of Pentacles influence nourishment? If this card came up for you, the Knight versus the King. A few weeks ago, I talked about if you get stuck on the court cards, first look at the court cards. It's about the rank, the experience, right? You're going from novice to expert. This is about, going from a certain level of understanding, of confidence, of know-how, and then progressing in experience, in wisdom. And that comes with a variety of things. Think about the emotions that show up and the action or lack thereof, the drive, the intention of the Knight versus the King. How does that show up with a page versus a queen? What is their responsibility? What is their role? Right? So that's kind of like a quick aspect of the court cards. Now, how would that show up? How would this think about the role of the King versus the Knight? And there's not a lot of action going on in this with the Knight. This could be a good or a bad thing. Out of all the Knights, this particular Knight is not just in stillness, or what is perceived as stillness. This could be a sense of groundedness, of taking a moment to pause and to survey your surroundings and to be grounded in that experience, in that role, right? Going back to the Knight, what is the role of the Knight? It's like, let me pause for a moment and let me see what action I need to take. Sometimes the action is stillness or standing your ground. How think about how often do you struggle? Do any of you struggle with saying no to people? Do you struggle with saying no? Are you constantly feeling like you have to people please? You have to tell everybody. It's like, oh yes, you're giving. You're giving away your time. You're giving away your energy. You're giving away just all these things, right? Going back to exchange. Are you doing the giving or the taking? Is this giving or taking, like, is it balanced? Or are you out of balance? So that's something I want you to think of when it comes to the Pentacles and moving beyond just the dollars, and what is the exchange? And it could be something that affects your money. I've definitely been that person, giving too much of my time and really not valuing my worth. So that's a lesson I had to learn the hard way. Like, and we talked about a little bit about this maybe last week or the week before, but it's like, what is your worth? And how does that show up in how you nourish yourself, your mind, your body, your physically, emotionally, spiritually, which we talked about this week in the prompts. So then you start to question. So you mentioned, Anita, that you struggle with saying no. Why do you feel that's the case? And what's the exchange? How does that show up for you? Are you giving too much of your time away? Is the money not reflecting? Is it a little bit of both? Sometimes you're just feeling drained, like you just don't have the energy. And that's the exchange. Like you're just giving away all your energy. So let me know, what is the exchange? The Knight as power, but no authority. It's the Queen who tells the Knight what to do. She is the manager. Yes, I love that. So think about, so if you got the Knight, the Knight has power but no authority, right? So if you got the Knight, how would that show up? Think about what we're just talking about. If you struggle with saying no, if you're saying yes to people all the time, and you don't create a boundary for yourself, for your own self-care, for your own self-worth, maybe it's time to pause. Maybe it's time to reassess. Are you giving away your authority? Are you giving away your power? Maybe, what if your role, you're supposed to be in the role of the king, but you keep devaluing yourself. You keep playing the role of the Knight when actually you're supposed to be in the role of the king. So sometimes it's about stepping into your role, so you can create those boundaries. So you can be the one to say, you know what? I am in the driver's seat of my life. I have the authority. I have the authority to say no, to say yes, to create boundaries, to do these things. And sometimes we don't always want to do that. Yes, you can ask a question. Just type your question in the comments. And thank you for liking and subscribing. So, something to think about. If you have a court card that shows up What is your role? What role are you playing, and what role are you actually supposed to be playing? Are you avoiding your position? And there's a spectrum to this. I'm just grabbing the other court cards for Pentacles. So with the Pentacles, or with any of the court cards, there are stages of growth, right? So I view the Pentacles or the court cards as you have stages of growth. In your stages of growth, there are some stages where you are very much supposed to be the page. It's new. You have the desire, you have the curiosity, but you don't have the experience, right? So there's very much times. But then there's other times where you've been sitting at the page position, and you're supposed to be the queen already. And this is not about gender. Okay? This is not about gender. This is not about, oh, well, I identify as this gender, so I should be this particular card. It has nothing to do with that. And for those of you, if you've seen multiple decks, you're familiar with decks, like the court cards are, and just like with a lot of the cards, they're interpreted in different ways. So depending on the deck that you're using, how the court cards are interpreted will vary. So move beyond the gender and focus more on the essence, the masculine, feminine essence versus gender, because it's not about that. It's about the energy and the essence of it. But then look at the role. How often are you not playing your role? There's many times it's like, oh, it's just, you're just comfortable as the page, or you're comfortable as the knight, because you don't want to carry the responsibility. You don't want to be the one that's like, oh, well, now I have to be responsible. And so if I'm responsible, then I have to do things, and I don't want to do things. So let me know if this is making sense. Let me know if this is resonating. At my core, I'm a helper, and I mainly can't say no to my family. Man, the family be the worst ones. Family be the worst ones. I set boundaries, but I sometimes allow the boundary to be crossed. I have to remind myself, you don't have to jump in and save the day. Listen, the family will be the worst. Family is the worst, literally. Okay. Your family will teach you the biggest lessons, the greatest lessons. Because they're the ones, they got you, they know how to push your buttons. They know how to trigger those emotional responses. They know how to make you feel guilty. They know how to make you angry. It's easy. It's easy for them to manipulate, whether they realize it or not. Not saying that your family is manipulating you, but it's easy to have the guilt and to have the like, oh, I don't know. But I want you to think of it this way. Okay. If you are staying in the role, if you are not progressing in rank, progressing in your role, then you're doing yourself a disservice, and you are enabling them. You're enabling your family. You're enabling your family by not stepping into your role. Because guess what? If you don't say no to them, right? If you don't do that, they're going to keep testing that. And that's all that they're going to know. It's like, oh, well, I know her no is invaluable. What value? Your no doesn't have value. Your no doesn't have value. That's what you're teaching them, right? You're teaching people your no doesn't have value. And then you're also enabling them from their progressing in their role. Because it's like, oh, well, I can just stay here as the page. They're going to stay in the page position because you're bombarding the knight position when it comes to the family dynamic. Something to think about. I know a lot of people where they're supposed to be the daughter. Technically, they're the daughter, but they're actually in the role of they're in the parent role. It's like, why are they in the parent role? Because said parent has not stepped into that role for whatever reason. That's a whole nother conversation. So something to be mindful of. I want to know if W or EC is a better company for me. Do you have cards? Do you have a tarot deck, blah? Am I saying, is it blah or blah? Because if you have a deck nearby, I want you to pull a card for each company and then let me know what you get. If you don't, oh, you do. Okay, I want you to go ahead and pull a card for each company and let me know what you get. And also, and give me some keywords that come up for you with each company, and then we can kind of unpack it from there. Greetings, welcome, welcome. The page is on his feet. The knight is on a horse, and after the throne. Yes. Listen, some of y'all. Let me tell you, and let me tell you from experience. Okay, some of y'all. And this is such a great interpretation, MC, right? The page is on the feet. The knight is on the horse, right? And then you have the queen and the king and the throne. So, the word that comes up to me is the labor, the work. Some of y'all are working too hard unnecessarily. I've been that person. You're putting in unnecessary work. And you're making things harder. You have to walk everywhere to get there. Then now maybe you feel like you're doing something because you're on the horse, but you're not. You're supposed to be in a different role. And the word that comes up is like busy work. I always say you can be busy and not be productive. So you can be doing things. You can be doing all types of things. But what are you doing that's actually leading you towards the specific thing? And that's a great way to procrastinate, by the way. I'm really good at that. I'm really good at that. I'm just like, oh man, I'm just doing stuff. I'll be having to check myself. I'll be like, what am I doing? I ain't doing shit. Nothing. I'm doing nothing. I'm not doing anything that is leading me towards the thing that I really should be focusing on. I'm just procrastinating and I'm exhausting myself out for no reason because I'm supposed to be in a different role, but I'm over here playing games. I'm over here playing games with myself. You are a very good reader, making us think for ourselves. Thank you. Thank you for that. I hope that you are participating in the challenge. If not, then definitely tune in to, you probably just now find it. You did mention that you just subscribed. If you go to my YouTube page, you'll see a playlist called Tarot Challenge, Reconnect with Your Inner Guidance. And just start from the beginning. Go at your own pace, or, you know, batch all the prompts together, however you want to do it. Yeah, so thank you for that. Okay, good. Okay. So you got the Eight of Wands. So the question that blah, is it blah or blah? Has is, you want to know which company is better for you. All right. And so you're pulling the cards. So I'm just going to pull the cards that you find, the cards that you pulled. Oh, that's funny. You got, that is what are the odds that earlier I had an Eight of Wands pulled out? That's literally the first card. I don't know if you were on this video earlier, but that's literally the first card that I pulled out today on this video was the Eight of Wands. So maybe this card was waiting for you. We've had very interesting things happen during these live tarot chats. So, all right. So you want to know which company is better for you. So you got the Eight of Wands, right? So think about, for those of you that were on here earlier when I was unpacking the Eight of Wands in relation to nourishment, think about how this can show up for this question and wanting to make a decision, right? Because how often do you use tarot to make a decision or confirm a decision, or to just get a kind of outlook, right? What sticks out to you about the Eight of Wands? Let's see. And then you got Judgment and Five of Wands for EC. Okay. Let me pull those. Judgment and Five of Wands. Judgment and Five of Wands. So are you currently working at either one of these locations, or are you applying? You got Judgment, and what was the other one? Five of Wands. Okay. All right. Man, the Five of Wands be about that work. They be out here. I love this card. The Five of Wands, they be throwing them hands. I love it. Okay. Let's see your position here. I am biased. Would you be able to pull cards for me? So, well, here's the thing, right? Why are you biased? And this is a great topic right here, right? Because one of the things that I do, one of the reasons why I even created this challenge, why I have a tarot mentorship program, is because it's these nuances, right? I could easily pull cards for you, but how is that going to help you with your tarot practice? There's nothing wrong with getting a reading from another person, but let's unpack what the bias is. How can you override your bias so you can really get the most out of your reading? That's what's most important, because I am here to empower you to move beyond those, to work through those barriers, to identify when bias is showing up. Because start to think about it, like, and sometimes it's about how you pose the question. So just some things to think about. So let me see what you're saying here. I just started working at W, but EC starts next week. Okay, so you're going to be working both. I don't know if I will want to start. So, and why do you feel that way? You're saying that you don't know if you will want to start. Why is that? Why is that? And the real question is, so, you know, you were asking what company is better for you. how you could unpack this is, well, first, what is it that you desire? And this takes me back to the Lover's card. What is it that you desire? What is it that you are looking for in a company? Because this is where I see a lot of people get stuck in their readings. You ask a question, but you don't. You ask a question like this of like which one will be better. But if you haven't clarified what better is, what better would feel like for you, if you haven't defined that, then the reading can become a bit convoluted. I can do tarot for others, but not for myself. Okay, well, this is perfect because I am all about helping people read tarot for themselves. That means I give up W. Okay, so is that what you want though? And that's the thing, right? Let's unpack the bias, because when you unpack the bias, now you can get into getting some more clarity. Because which one is better? It depends on how do you define better. Does better mean that you have more time off? Does better mean that you get a raise? Does better mean that you you don't have to travel as far? Does better mean that you have more career progression? What does better mean? What's better, right? So that's where you want to get some clarity. And when it comes to, so you got the Eight of Wands. Is the Eight of Wands, is that where you're wanting to be? Because you're saying that it means that you give this up, and then you don't even know if you want to start here. So what I feel like is coming up with the Five of Wands is there's this internal conflict. And with the Eight of Wands, it's like, okay, this could mean things are whatever is going on, whether it's good or bad, it's moving fast. Things are progressing quickly. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. You just let me know. But so that's something to be mindful of. Sometimes this can lead to overwhelm. Sometimes this is like, okay, I'm getting some movement. Like this is, I'm seeing some of the changes that I want to see, or do you see what I'm saying? So it can go either way. I've only spent 2 weeks at W, and it looks good so far, but it's only 2 weeks. Okay. Better is stability, recognition, appreciation, motivation, security, and progression. Great. Now that you have defined what better is, okay? Now that you have defined what better is, do you feel, and here's the thing, right? So you mentioned you've already spent time at this place. And so it's easier at this one place. It's like you've been there for 2 weeks, things are going great. And now this other job, yeah, this can seem like a bias because you're stepping into this unknown territory and you're already kind of happy with how things are going. However, Eight of Wands, things might be going great now, but there might be a sudden change, something that just suddenly changes all of a sudden. That could be the swift change. And it's like, oh, have you ever, I've definitely been in places where, oh, this is great, I'm going to love it here. And then after about like, after a few weeks or months, you'd be like, oh, hell no, I done got hoodwinked. Have you ever been bamboozled? Just straight up, like, you just got played. Like, oh my gosh, like y'all played me. I'm stuck here now. Have you ever been there? That has been me. Now, let's unpack. What I want you to do now is I want you to shuffle again and pull 2 more cards. One for W and the other one for EC. So go ahead, shuffle again, pull 2 more cards. Now that and before you do that, now you have defined what better means for you. So stay tuned into that. Because when it comes to reading and preparing for your card, which I talk about a lot throughout the challenge, is you want to align your connection to your intuition, to source. This alignment, it's an alignment of the mind, the body, and spirit. You want to be in alignment. So this is how you can override the bias that you might have. So there's 2 things I share with you here. First, you want to get clear. You want to get clear on what you actually want. And we just did that because now we know. It's like, okay, well, which job is better? Well, what's better? You've defined the better. So that takes out one thing, one potential bias. Because right now, even though you're at W, things are good right now. You're in the honeymoon phase. You want better stability. Being at one place for 2 weeks does not necessarily mean it's going to be stable for you. No, pull 1 card for each. 1 card for each. Now, if you end up getting some jumpers and you get multiple cards, then that's fine. Greetings, Ashley. Welcome. Thank you for liking and thank you for subscribing. Thank you so much. Listen, I'm trying to grow this little channel of mine and put some good vibes out here. I've been trying to be consistent. So thank you so much for that. And let me know, are you new to tarot? Do you have decks? Let me know kind of where you're at. Do you have an interest in tarot at all? Let me know. So we've unpacked and defined what better is. And the other part is when you start to tune in, because listen, I tell you, some of y'all have seen me get read for filth with my own deck live on damn YouTube. The cards will tell you when you start to practice that alignment and not being in your head about what you want the outcome to be, and really aligning and tuning into your intuition, which is connected to source, whatever that source is for you, however you define that based on your beliefs, right? Because that's however you define it. Now you start to override that, and now you're moving beyond the ego and the mind, and now something's working. Because then you'll start to see the things that you don't really. It's like, are you ready for the truth? Because when you align with it right, the messages will start to show up for you. Now, we talked about the 8 of Wands, and you kung fu fighting over here in the with the 5 of Wands, and so in EC we know that this is part of this. There's a conflict here. Part of this can be an internal conflict. You mentioned feeling biased. Now let's look at the Judgment card, because we have 2 wands, and now we have which is in the minor arcana, and now we also have a major arcana. We have the Judgment card. So what could possibly be showing up here with Judgment? Let's zoom into that. Could this be an opportunity for a reset? Could this be an opportunity to shed and release some of these conflicts and to step into, I almost feel like, I don't know, for some reason, and just let me know if this resonates or not, I feel like this is a redo. Like you might have had an experience. I don't know if it's the position that you are applying for, or some type of situation where it's like, oh, you didn't follow through with it before, and now this is an opportunity for you to actually work through the conflict. Work through, like, it's like, no, that this is an opportunity for this potential, it's like a returning back to the returning back to the beginning, or returning back to the opportunity, returning back to the starting point. Like almost like there's a lesson or something here. So let me know how that resonates for you. Because what is really the resistance? Why did you apply for this position? What is the resistance there? What is the lesson? Because sometimes, here's the thing. There's been many times where I'm just like, oh, I'm afraid to make this decision. I don't know what to do. Especially when I was early on in my tarot journey. But over time, it's like either decision you make is going to take you somewhere, but you got to make a move. Because standing around not doing nothing, nothing's gonna happen. When you take a step in the direction, which is moving forward with EC, now you're gonna get some information. Now you're gonna get something that you can work with now to be like, you know what, this conflict that I was feeling, it's all chaos here, and now I've learned and now I've learned the lesson, whatever that lesson is. But the other thing is like, well, what questions can you ask? What are some things, if now that you have defined what better is for you, who can you talk to be like, okay, well, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for in, in a position, or, in for this type of company. And what questions can you ask to see if they can actually provide that for you? What's the how easy is it how long does it take to progress in positions there? What is it like when it comes to time? Is it, are they skimpy? Are they stingy with hours? Are you on salary? Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, what's the benefits? Now you can start to ask the questions to now you can better gauge if this is a good position for you, now that you've defined your what better is. Yeah, I also use Uno cards. I bought them at CVS Pharmacy. I use them for things for timings and flower decks, animal decks. That's awesome. Food tarot, all tarot cards, colorful tarot decks, twin flame tarot decks, soulmate tarot. Oh, that is so cool. I love it. I love it. That is so fun. I love all types of tarot cards too. So, and eventually I'm going to start doing reviews and stuff on the channel for decks. So that's going to be fun. All right. So you got the 10 of Cups for W, and you got the Chariot for EC. Okay. So let me know how you feel about those two cards. Now that you have unpacked, we've unpacked the first two cards. So I'll just pull these cards up and just let me know. What comes up for you now with these two? This is an added layer. This is an added layer. Let me find this. 10 of Cups and Chariot. And you got approached. Okay, so you got approached by them. Okay, so you got approached by them. And then you accepted, it. Why did you accept it at the time? And did you have a feeling that you should have said no? So EC is Chariot and 10 of Cups. Okay. All right. So now And just, you know, and I want you to look at these cards. There's a lot of movement going on now. I feel 10 of Cups is about how I'm feeling. Chariot is about discipline, progression. Very much so. Very much so. So think about that. What is the difference in these two positions? And if EC, if that they approached you, why did they approach you? And what is it that led you to saying yes? And what is there something about discipline progression that makes you uncomfortable? Is there something about the role or the position that you might be in where it doesn't feel like it would be, maybe it'll push you out of your comfort zone? Because I mentioned with the Judgment card, it feels like this almost like this is like an opportunity to do something else over, a do-over of some sort, or a revisiting something that maybe was left on the table, whether it was in another lifetime, whether it was within this lifetime. But I feel like there's a lesson in this for you here. Because now you have another major arcana here with this particular company. So another thing to pay attention to, right? You have two majors in with this one thing. So this is, I feel like this position is creating some, you know, there's some resistance towards it, right? But there's a shift here. So the progression might be in a way that maybe would push you out of your comfort zone. Maybe you would have to, you know, even going back into the role, what role would you be in? Are the positions similar? Do you have more responsibility in one versus the other? Do you even know what that would be? Well, what are you confused about? Let me know. Because the question is, why did you accept the position? Okay, concentrates on nonprofit. Okay. Which one is more in alignment with your values? So you have one that's a nonprofit, one that's more corporate-ish. Which one aligns with your values? And why did you say yes to the nonprofit? The question is, what is it that if you already feel good, like what's your intuition guiding you towards? Okay. So if W is in alignment with your values, you already feel good here for now, right? It feels good for you. Why did you accept the other position? What was it about about the nonprofit? Did you say yes and then automatically like cringe and like regret saying yes? Because maybe that's the lesson. Because we were actually talking about this earlier when we were looking at the Pentacles. We were talking about like, man, like, is it hard for you to say no? And maybe you wish you would have said no. He's like, oh man, I don't want to do that. And that was just kind of your backup plan. But then it's like, oh man, I'm regretting this now. And maybe that's the lesson. EC is a small company, but popular. However, they didn't get back to me on a few things like laptop I wanted and speak to my future manager. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. I said yes because I wanted to have a choice. Okay. You said yes because you wanted to have a choice, and now you do. Because here we go. Listen, the question's already been answered, right? When I asked you to clarify your better, when you clarified that, you mentioned better is stability, recognition, appreciation, motivation, security, and progression. They didn't get back to you on some key things, right? If you didn't have an opportunity to speak to your future manager, then that can question what stability would be like for you. To ask those questions, right? So it's just a matter of now you have the choice. And maybe that's the lesson. You have exactly what you want, right? You have the choice. So the Chariot, what I'm getting from this is to move forward with it because you have the choice. You can stay, you can leave. Just see, there's a reason why, right? You picked that position because you wanted to have the choice. Now you have the choice, and now you're dealing with the consequences of the choices. Consequences are not good or bad. It's just information. And now you're going to get that. And that's it. Good. You don't regret it. Yeah, good. Okay, yep. You can still leave if you don't like it. Exactly. W's going through a massive change. It is going through acquisition. And what did I say earlier about the 8 of Wands? I was like, things can move fast. I was like, it can move fast. Like things could feel good right now, but it might switch on you really quickly. And it could be this change could be for the good or for the better. And you just confirmed that for me. The company is going through a massive change. So that's confirmation right there. So it can go either way, right? But it is big, more teams and areas I can go to. See? So it could be for the good or it could be better or worse. It could be a combination of both. Anytime there's changes, there's going to be changes going to happen fast. Things are going to move around, but it could be good or bad. Either way, it's all information. Information for you to confirm your choice, or you have the choice now. And then you move from there. So this is not about better, or this is not about what's better. Right now, it's about it is exploring both choices. And now that you have defined your better, you can know what to look for within each company. And if you already know that W aligns with your values and is in the direction that you want to take, then the lesson can be in you really didn't need the choice. But if you're going to feel like, man, I just always wanted to know, I still, I just wanted to, like, I know I don't want to be over here, but I just want to check that block. I just want to be curious and be over here. And, I already said yes, and I can just leave whenever. Then you can do that. But you have a choice now. You can decide right now that, you know what, I'm not going to take that position because I already know that W is in alignment with my values. I feel good here already. They're making changes that I want to experience. Then go for it. But initially you wanted the choice. Now you have it, and you're dealing with the consequences of the choices. And you can follow that through. You can follow through with that choice and then decide after you've been there, or you can decide right now to not move forward with it. So you can actually refine this question by saying, instead of is one company better for me than the other, I would suggest reframing that and saying, focus on EC and saying, should I move forward with EC, or should I move forward with EC and explore that, knowing that I can leave whenever? Should I even put forth that energy, or should I just close that door now so I can preserve my energy? We were talking about energy exchanges with the Pentacles, and just go all in with W. So now you see how, and for those of you, so you see how we dissected the reading. We dissected the question. We dissected like how to get clarity. And we even turned this into a reframe of reframing. Now the real question, the better question now that we've unpacked this is, should I, or what will be the outcome? What will be the outcome of not moving forward and just telling them I'm not going to, I'm going to decline this position. So that way you don't have to go through all the bullshit. You don't have to go through all the bullshit of signing papers and doing all that stuff and meeting people, because you're going to leave in a week or two anyway. Why do all that to yourself? Right? Maybe there's a lesson there for you. Maybe there's, or maybe, like I said, I feel like this is a redo. So I feel like that's really the thing here is, should you just wrap it up with a bow right now? Or should you move forward because you said yes to it? But remember, if you were here earlier, it's like, you can say no. You can say no if you are already happy. So I feel like that, and I feel like that's the lesson. That is the lesson here in the choice itself. You can make a choice and then change your mind. You can make a choice and then decide that, you know what, this was the choice that I felt was right in this moment. And I now have a different perspective. And based on the information from this perspective, I am making a different decision. You have the authority to do that. You have the authority to do that. I was Team W when the 10 of Cups showed up, LOL. EC looks like a lot of work, LOL. My unsolicited 2 cents. Listen, I'm here for the 2 cents. Yes. I mean, it's right there. And sometimes, right, we do the, I've done this to myself before so many times. And you can move forward with it. And I feel like that's the choice here. That's the lesson. That's what if I can get the cards together, I feel like that's what's coming up with the Judgment card, and that's the lesson. Whoa. So I hope that answered your question. I hope that answered your question, and let me know what you're going to do. You might want to sit with it, but I feel like everything is telling you, you've already confirmed a few things. You've confirmed things that I was saying before I even knew what was going on with the situation. And the real lesson is in and what to do now. And I think now you have a good place of clarity. I'm hoping anyway. I got the question I was after. Great. Well, I am wishing you the best of just sending you good vibes for your time, for the work that you're doing, and just, you know, sending you all the good vibes that you are happy and successful, and that you continue to do, you know, you mentioned being, it's hard for you to read for yourself versus others. And there are people out there like that. But I hope that with what we did today, it can give you, it gives you some tools, some things to work with when it comes to how you can unpack your bias, so you can get to like the source of what you're looking for, and the outcome that you're looking for. You're welcome. You are welcome. Let me know, for those that are tuning in, did you find this helpful? Of breaking this thing down, because this is something that you can do for yourself in your own readings. If you get if you get a card and you're not really sure what it means, it's like, well, what is it that I'm actually, what am I actually looking, like, what is the result that I'm looking for? What is the clarity that I'm looking for? And also pay attention to how you phrase your prompts or your questions, and know where they're coming from. This is why I teach things in alignment with how this shows up for intuition, and aligning the mind, body, and spirit, because now you can use that as a gauge. At the end of the day, I love tarot, right? I don't need these cards to do a reading or anything. I don't need the cards. Okay. But it was through using these cards that it helped me. I use it as a tool to strengthen my intuitive abilities. And there is the logical aspect of tarot and the definitions and the, you know, the whole thing. Then there's the intuitive aspect, and you can use both. But I'm telling you, when you can override the bias, you can override the stuff in the mind by utilizing your intuition. We are all intuitive beings, and we all have abilities, and it's about tapping into that. And it doesn't matter what your you know, why you use tarot cards. It could be something for fun, like whatever you use it for, right? But this is just my approach. And I actually did a video about a video podcast about, like, if you are struggling, if you want to develop your psychic abilities or your intuitive abilities and you're not sure where to start, then I give you some tips on what you can start doing for that. So I hope that you enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any questions before we conclude. And, you know, I'm going to wrap things up with a collective message. And for those of you that have been tuning into the, that have been participating in the challenge, y'all, we got 2 weeks left. We have 2 weeks left. It doesn't matter where you're at. You still got time to catch up. And I'm going to pull an oracle card and a tarot card. Okay, so you all are going to vote on the deck. Let me know what deck I should use. Which deck should I use for our collective message? Which oracle deck? Let me know. I have Spirit Oracle, I have Gateway Oracle, and then Nature Speak Oracle. Which one should I use? I'm like, I can't hold them all. You all pick Spirit Oracle, Gateway Oracle, or Nature Speak Oracle. Which deck should I use for the collective message for today? And while y'all are voting, I'm going to pull the tarot card. All right. We got 2 for Spirit Oracle. All right. Spirit Oracle it is. All right. Let me pull the tarot card. All right. Here is the collective message. If you haven't done so already, be sure to like this video. And if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button if you're into the stuff that I'm talking about. If this isn't your jam, that's totally fine. All right. Collective message. Woo! Whoa. We got a whole thing that done piled out, but this one, 10 of Wands. And we have a whole stack that flipped out. Listen, this whole stack just flipped out, but there's one card in particular that's sticking out, and I think I'm going to explore that. Let's see what happens with the Oracle card, and then we're going to unpack this together. So it's interesting that the 10 of Wands is coming up, right? Think about what I have been talking about, and we got the Oracle card. Okay, think about what I've been talking about in relation to this week's theme of nourishment. You have the 10 of Wands. I talked about doing, unnecessary labor, having to you're either not creating boundaries and you have too much, you're giving away too much, or you're carrying too much burden, too much weight. You're doing too much. You're carrying stuff that isn't yours, that you shouldn't be carrying anymore. You're doing the work that is not in alignment with the role that you're supposed to be in. And I feel like that's what's coming up with the 10 of Wands. I also, and here's the thing, and here's what's coming up too. We have 2 weeks until the spring. Now is the time to start looking at the work that needs to be done. Use the next couple of weeks to really look at what you're carrying and start to release that. If you've been participating in the Reconnect with Your Inner Guidance Tarot Challenge, you've been unpacking things throughout this challenge. One of the reasons why I started this challenge during the time that I did, and did it for 45 days, is because it's leading us into the spring equinox. Do you want to carry all this shit with you into the spring? What do you want to carry with you? What do you want to let go? What do you want to bring with you into the new season? Whether it's the new season, you might be watching this in the wintertime. Doesn't matter when you're watching this. What do you want to carry with you moving forward? What is it? Think about that. Because there's work that needs to be done to release the things that you no longer want to carry, or that you no longer should be carrying, to release the stuff that you ain't got no business carrying. And it's your responsibility to start to look at that and unpack that. However that's showing up for you, whether it's through establishing boundaries, whether it's through clearing your space, decluttering, whether it's through nourishing your body physically, emotionally, spiritually, however nourishment is showing up for you, which has been the focus, right? Is it focusing on your health? Is it changing things? I did a video on my Facebook, and I'm going to start doing more of start hosting my wellness live streams, my health and fitness live streams on YouTube as well. I've been hosting them on Facebook, but I talked about, what was I talking about? Like dieting versus lifestyle change, right? And this could be relative to so many different things. So what is it that you want to, what work are you doing unnecessarily? And what work are you supposed to be doing that you've been avoiding? Oh, come on, balance. Can we just look at how gorgeous this card is? Oh my goodness. Look at this card. Beautiful. And this is a double-sided card. I love this deck. Okay, balance. All is perfect just the way it is. Own and acknowledge every part of you, and you will find the balance you are seeking. Now, can we talk about how this relates to the card and then this other card that came out of this stack? It says, own and acknowledge every part of you, and you will find balance that you are seeking. The Ten of Wands is saying there are parts of you that you're carrying and you have not acknowledged, which is what I was just saying, that you need to start looking at what you're carrying. You have to start looking at what you're carrying. It's going to come up. So you can decide consciously to release it, to let it go, to shift the responsibility, to delegate some of the responsibility, to step into your new role. Sometimes we just carry a bunch of stuff because it's easier to just carry it, hold on to carry the weight of it, and not have to sort through it. So the other card, this whole stack came up, and the card that flipped up was this one, the Nine of Swords, and that was really sticking out. It's like, you know what? This is what's going to keep you from getting here. That this is what's going to keep you from doing the work. Your mind. Thinking of what other people are going to think about you. Thinking about, oh, I'm afraid of my, I don't know how to do it. Fear. It's like, oh, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. I don't know where to go. I don't know. Fear of other people's judgments, afraid of your own fears, afraid of change, worried, doubtful, scared, all these things. And you have to, this is going to be the thing that holds you back. And you have to decide, do you want to carry all this with you? Do you want to continue to carry that? Now it is up to you. Do you want to carry that? And sometimes it can feel very easy to just carry it. It's like, oh, well, I've been doing this all this time. It's, I'm just used to it. Just because you're used to it doesn't mean that it's good for you. It prevents you from growing and from moving forward, because the only change is the only constant, right? How can you move forward if you stay stuck here? If you stay stuck in fear, if you stay stuck in doubt, if you stay stuck in other people, wondering what other people are going to think about you? And let me know, if you're worried about something, what is it that you're worried about? What is going to happen? Think about the worry. What is the worry? Those wands represent my fears. I don't want to carry these fears into the next season. Beautiful. Yes. I'm telling you, it's not worth it anymore. It's not worth it anymore. It's not. On point with the Oracle. And she is just banging. Like, I'm loving this. Like, she is like, yes. She is glowing. She is living her best life. This is nourishment right here. We've been talking about nourishment. This has been the theme this week. This is nourishment. Balance. It says balance. All is perfect just the way it is. Own and acknowledge every part of you, and you will find the balance you are seeking. You have to acknowledge your fear. You have to acknowledge the worry. You have to acknowledge the parts of yourself that you don't like. You have to acknowledge the parts of yourself that you hate. You have to acknowledge the parts of yourself that you love. You have to acknowledge the parts of yourself that motivate you, that encourage you, that inspire you. You have to acknowledge all of these things. And when you start to do that, now you can actually start to use the things that you love about yourself and use those to start to neutralize all the bullshit. Yep, carrying fears and worries. Yeah, it's like, you're just going to keep doing this? How is that serving you? How is that serving your role in life, your divine purpose? How is carrying your fears and worries serving your divine purpose? Something to think about. Have you ever wanted something? It's like you want something. It's like, oh yeah, I really want this. You want it, but like, do you really want it? Are you ready to actually do the work to do what it takes to get there? Because the real question is, what would it take? What would it take for you to get to this point? What would it take? That is the message for today. That is the collective message. I hope you all have appreciated this message. I hope it was well received. And the deck I use is Spirit Oracle. Love this deck. I'm writing this prompt down. Yes, write it down. Write it down, journal it. And yeah, like explore it, unpack it. Because I'm telling you, when you start to shine a light on something, when you start to shine a light on it, look at it, now you can't and do it through the lens of curiosity, which is something I always say, do it through the lens of curiosity, not through judgment. It's like, why is this down here? What's going on in here? Let me turn the lights on up in here. What's going on up in here? Right? When you start to do that, now you are just collecting information and you're learning about yourself. That's it. You're just learning and understanding, like, oh, that's what that is. Okay. And just because you know what the thing is doesn't mean you have to do something about it right away. You can let it sit for a little bit. But if you keep getting stuck, you keep reverting back, then it's like, okay, well, why is this happening? Then you can start to look at to see where the patterns are. But if you don't acknowledge it, then you're not even going to get to that point. So it has truly been a pleasure. If you are interested in connecting with me, you can do so on my website, wadjet.com. Let me pull that up, wadjet.com. I am now back to offering readings, tarot readings and energy readings. Those are back up on my site. I had those closed off for the season, but that is now available. Click on Work With Me and click on the drop down, and there's you'll see a drop down that says Tarot Energy Readings if you're interested in something like that. I also offer coaching, one-on-one coaching programs and things of that nature. So you can connect with me there. You can also check out my podcast, which is Fit Body, Fit Spirit. And I also have an Instagram at Fit Body, Fit Spirit, where you can connect with me there and check out my podcast. And also there's my YouTube channel at Wadjet, where I am currently hosting this 45-day tarot challenge, and we have 2 weeks left. And you will see some video podcasts on here and a bunch of other goodness. So just check out the playlists. And other than that, thank you for being here. Thank you for spending your time with me and connecting with me. I've really been enjoying these live tarot chats and just connecting with you all and just being able to talk about something that I love, which is tarot and spirituality and wellness. So I hope that I have been able to provide value for you. And I really appreciate the time that you have taken to connect with me here. So it really means a lot because I know time is very valuable. So thank you. I don't take that lightly. Enjoy your weekend. I will see you here next Friday at 7:30 p.m. Central for another round of weekly tarot chats. And I hope y'all are, I heard the movie Coming to America is out this weekend, and I need to watch that. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'll be doing that. That's happening. So thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. I will see you all on the next one.